Good evening and welcome to this Wednesday, May 5th edition of the Island Stat Sports Show. I'm your host, Earl Basin, and joining me as co-host, Jason Juggling J. Ford. And we have a very special guest to open tonight in Madeline Moore, who had a dynamic weekend of swimming over in Florida during the UANA Olympic qualifier. Just looking at the names, I saw the site sheet prior to the event, Maddie, and I was looking at the names of the people who were actually taking part. And Jay, it was a host of Olympians, world champions, and the like. And the fact that, Maddie, you were going into an event with so many other people around you, along with Jesse, and then you got to see Emma Harvey and Jack Harvey as well. Tell us about how that experience was for you. Not actually the swimming, but just the experience of being around the type of people you were around and in that environment.
Honestly, I kind of felt at home just because there were so many Caribbean teams there that obviously, like, I've grown up with these people, like, from Carifta and CC Can. So I was having a blast. It was so fun just to see everyone again, obviously, because, you know, the Cariftas and CC Cans last year were canceled. So just getting to see everyone, I wasn't putting pressure on myself. I mean, I did see the psych sheet and, like, seeing, like, people that were a lot older and had a lot faster times than I did. I tried to not let that get to me. I was just really excited to see, you know, my friends.
Jay, got a question?
Yeah, I mean, we was talking about some of the friends, but who are some of those participants? When you see their name, you know they're going to push you for the swim. And, you know, it's obviously, I got to beat her this time. Or who's some of those names?
I mean, Emma Harvey is always up there. She's a fantastic swimmer and she's doing awesome at Penn State. But there are a lot of Central American teams were there, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce their names. But, you know, I was looking at some people's ages and they were like 30 plus, and like their times were like, oh, okay. That's cool. And then, like, warming up, I saw, you know, Olympic rings on people's bodies. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. We love this for me. But, you know, I kind of have to hold myself to that standard now. So, you know, since I've been trying to qualify for the Olympics. So, you know, I just kind of have to expect to see these people there.
When you look at the fact that a lot of the people that attended are like you and had the opportunity to compete throughout their collegiate year, whether it be in a long one or a short one, but for someone like Jesse who hasn't had much time in the pool, how do you think that affected him? You know, because you guys are kind of close. So how do you think it affected him and his performances overall?
Yeah, I felt awful for Jesse when I heard that they went into, like, obviously Bermuda went into another lockdown. I was devastated because being out of I mean, I have had, like, I raced on Sunday. I had Monday, Tuesday off from out of the pool. And I got in today and I just kind of, my body felt like jelly. And that was only 2 days. He was out of the pool for 2 weeks. So that obviously is going to affect his times and stuff. He really did well in rallying and just doing the best he could. And honestly, I think he did amazing for his circumstances.
Yeah, definitely. Now let's get into these races, because Thursday night, obviously, that's the first night, first time you're jumping in the pool in that environment, and it's a final.
Yes.
No time to be nervous. No time. It's just what was the day like for you in lead up to it?
We started the morning. We went for a morning practice at about 9. You know, just did a swim out, nothing like fast. It was just kind of like recovering from the travel that we had the day before. And then we had, after we got back, you know, just lunch and downtime. And then we got to the pool for around 3. And then just, you know, warmed up and tried to prepare myself the best I could. When
you touch the wall, you look up at your time. Take us through those moments, because obviously you want to swim fast. Well, first of all, you want to win, and then you also want to swim fast. And then I know how critical you are about your performances and you know your strokes and all. But tell us about how you felt with picking up the win first.
Yeah, well, so my first event was a 50 fly, and I had, you know, a big name, Alia Atkinson, in my heat, which, yeah, was awesome. I love, you know, she's such a nice person. So that was a little nerve-wracking to begin with, but I was telling you beforehand, I touched the wall, and I thought in my head that I saw a 28.3, which was, like, you know, slower than my PB. And then I realized I got out, and then my coach like came over. She was like, "Oh my God, Maddie!" And I realized that I had done a second faster than that, and I was shocked because I had dropped quite a bit of time from my previous record. And in a 50, that's huge. So that was a great way to start the meet.
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had asked you this question in our last interview. As far as your personal best, I mean, you know, you're racing against time, but what is it? Some period of the race you're thinking, you know what, I may be able to, you know, is it at the 20? I mean, it's 50, so is it at the 20, 25? It's where do you think that, you know, you could challenge yourself for the personal best?
Me and my coach, we've really been working on my underwaters and my breakouts. So we've been trying some different things, and I think that was kind of like a big part, because in 50s, you make a mistake and the race is kind of over. So we've just been trying to clean up every kind of portion of the race, and I think that one was a big, my start to my underwaters and my breakout have been something that we've really been working on, and seeing that it's starting to pay off, which is awesome.
You talk about the underwater. For you, are you a deep diver or are you a shallow diver to get that momentum going?
I'm not underwater for too long. That is not the strongest part of my race, I will say. But I mean, I kind of go back and I watch the pro series that are happening with all like the big US names. And I was kind of comparing like number of kicks that people do. So I'm doing the same amount of kicks. It's just kind of the quality of them. So that's what I'm trying to like clean up at the moment.
Right. What type of physical work do you do to work on that kicking? Because it plays a big part, as well as your stroking. It plays a big part in how well you do. So what are some of the exercises you're doing to work on that?
Yeah, so I mean, because it's a whole body motion, it's a lot of core based stuff. So I try and do a little bit of core every day, but it's a lot of, I mean, we'll do like 25s underwater, like back to back to back, kind of, that works on breath control. You know, the quality of your kicks, you know, if you have to tighten them up or make them a bit bigger, it's just repetition. Doing it over and over again.
Yeah. Now, two Bermuda records, equaling another record. You're claiming a lot of land there on that board for Bermuda's record holder. But overall, how would you classify the performance?
Of like each of my races, or
all of them together?
I was just so unbelievably happy with this weekend. I was expecting to do well, but I don't think I was expecting quite the times that I went. I mean, it's you know, it's bittersweet with the 50 freestyle like equaling my personal best time, but I'm just really happy to be back under 26 seconds, and because I haven't been that fast since like 2018. So I think I'm in a really good position right now, and I have a solid chunk of training coming up, so I'm just ready to get back to work. And
you're only what, 0.4 of a second away from that A qualifying standard.
Yeah, I know. and I never thought I'd say this, but I'm the same amount of time from the B cut in the 50 as I am in the 100. So that's big for me.
Well, we got a few weeks. You could grow a fingernail, and maybe we can get.
I know I might have to.
Jay?
Yeah, I'm just listening to your story now, the past few conversations we've had, and it reminds me of when you hear athletes in different sports saying they're in a zone. I mean, every time we speak, I hear new and improved times or another special moment. And when an athlete gets consistent at doing something good, obviously you're always waiting for the great, you always look for great. So as you're on this so-called streak or zone, how do you try to stay motivated to look to even better the last event?
I mean, motivation kind of, it's fleeting. It comes and goes. It's more, you just have to, like, I know what my goals are and I know what it's going to take to get there. So I just have to do everything I can, even on those days where my alarm goes off and the last thing I want to do is to get out of bed. I know that is what I have to do to kind of get those times. And it's the big picture. It's not, every day. You just have to,
So do you concentrate more on small goals or a larger goal at the end?
My coach has been telling me this for the longest time. I really struggled last year with, I was kind of like, oh, I need to do this. I have to be getting these times. But she's telling me that it's the process, it's the journey. Like, if you're having fun doing what you're doing, like everything's going to take care of themselves. Like you just have to, enjoy it.
Now, obviously, you're got a block of training to come, but will you decide to stay in the U.S. to prepare? More options are available out there as opposed to coming back home and probably not being able to put in the training time?
Yeah, I mean, it would be my dream to come home right now. Obviously, I miss it. But it makes more sense for me to stay out here just because I know that I would have consistent training. And, right now at home, that just isn't the case. And, for people's safety, obviously, it's like what's for the best. But yeah, definitely for my training, I will stay here for the time being.
Of course. Now I have to ask, what was that phone call like back home after the 100 free?
I've been riding a high since Sunday. It was so exciting. I kind of had it in my mind after the morning swim. I was like, today's the day. I'm gonna break 57, and I'm gonna do it. I didn't realize that I would do it quite by that much. So I saw that it was the most exciting part for me was usually in the last 25, I tend to like my body just tenses up and I'm just trying to muscle through it. I didn't feel that, and I just felt like I could just keep going faster, which was awesome. I loved it. So once I touched the wall and I saw like the 56.5, I was just shocked.
Well, we know that you have a bright future ahead, especially if you ride off the wave of what you've just come from. I know it's a continuation from not what I saw at the Pan American Games. Pan American, we were in Peru, and then obviously the year you had at school. Now Pan American was meters, school swims yards. Now you've got another meter good event under your belt as well. And we look forward to, I guess, what is next, and hopefully that qualifying extended and then off to Tokyo. That would be, I guess, a dream 2 years, 3 year process, eh?
Yes.
Well, I want to wish you all the best. I will stay in touch with you, just to see how you're making out, and all the best. And we wish you all the success, because we need you in Tokyo, wearing our colors, diving in that pool, and making a mark for not only yourself but this country.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
All right. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Mark Wade, the president of the Bermuda Football Association. We'll be right back.
Spring has sprung, and it's time for the Friends of Hospice Butterfly Blast annual raffle. Springtime is a great time for a refresh or to start a new project. And with a $1,000 gift card from Gorham's, you'll be able to put a dent in that wish list. There are multiple chances to win, so increase your odds by buying early. The draw date is May 5th for a $1,000 gift card from Gorham's. Check out our Facebook page, Friends of Hospice Bermuda, for details. Prize donated by Gorham's. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. As we stated, we'll be joined by the president of the Bermuda Football Association, Mr. Mark Wade. Good evening, Mr. Wade. How are you?
Hey, good evening, sir. How are you, Mr. Ford? What's going on?
Hey, so Ray.
Everything, sir. Well, obviously, yesterday was the announcement that we will host Cayman, our home game, in Florida. Can you shed some light as to, after the first experience, the reasons behind doing this yet again?
Sure. I mean, in short, all of the situations that made us host Aruba in Florida still exist. So basically, we're still in a pandemic. It makes sense for us to limit the exposure of the team as much as we can. So that means airports, airplanes, etc. So that's one of them. The other is the conditions in Bermuda at the moment. We have to be able to plan and get ourselves properly situated. So we have to make a decision based on what the scenario is right now today. And given the government's plan, we were left with potentially not having fans, quarantining for 14 days, etc., etc., etc. So it only made sense to host the game at IMG again. Not something that we want to do. Obviously, we'd love to be able to play at home in front of our fans, etc., and surroundings that we are familiar with, or should I say more familiar with, because we're certainly very familiar with IMG nowadays and Bradenton, Florida. So, but yeah, this is just another situation that the pandemic presents us with.
Well, let me ask you, because it's our home game in Florida, will fans be allowed?
Yes. We do have a procedure that we have to go through to get fans into the stadium, and there are certain protocols that they have to follow. So we, against Aruba, we did have some fans. We had Carl Lipen's family. We had Thomas Watson, who you guys may remember. He played for North Village, I believe. So he's situated in Florida. So he was at the match. And we certainly had all of our student athletes who yeah. And I'm sure the Bermuda public heard them in full voice.
Yes. What numbers are you looking at being allowed at the game?
I don't recall what the actual number was. But we did have to have a guest list, and we had to put their names at security, car numbers. Obviously, they had to be physically distant, etc., etc. So, I'm not sure what the number is physically distanced inside the grandstand, but yeah, we can have some fans.
Okay. Jay?
Mark, I know there were some issues last time when our team left the island. Are we looking to probably go down a few days earlier, just in case something comes up, gives a little bit more time to have our players ready and have our best squad available for the first match?
Yeah, well, I think the issues weren't particularly us leaving the country. The issues were when we returned. But we do have a plan of going earlier, slightly earlier, so that gives us time to react to anything that may or may not happen, and hopefully the travel path will be a lot smoother as well. Once we confirm all that, obviously we'll be able to inform the public of how the team is traveling to Suriname and then back up to Florida.
One of the things I know you guys would have learned a lot the first time around, especially from the practice match to the actual two World Cup qualifiers. What were some of the lessons learned that now you guys can actually kind of try to avoid in this time around?
Sure. I mean, certainly strict adherence to the COVID protocols, the sort of global recognized things that you must do in order to avoid exposure, mask wearing, physical distancing, those sort of things, definitely. Certainly, the first time we went, we traveled to IMG and we were on a flight from Miami to Tampa, which was completely full and very uncomfortable. I traveled it as well. It was very uncomfortable. So we don't do that anymore. Now we travel by bus as much as we can once we land in a gateway city. So when we went back to for the Aruba match and the Canada match, we flew into Miami and then we bussed from Miami up to Orlando, then a bus again from Orlando over to Bradenton. So again, we limited our time in airports and on airlines. So those were certainly lessons learned there as well. And then also being able to figure out how we can train sooner and longer as well. So you would have seen the announcement the other day that we do have the team in training. They're in a bubble at Hamilton Princess, and thankfully through the support of the BTA, KLGP, and Hamilton Princess, we were able to do that. So the team is now training evenings at the National Sports Center. So that's something that we've been able to put in place from the lessons learned as well. So it's we're in a better space, I think.
And it's noted in the press release that they're kind of staying until Sunday, when hopefully the mixing of household order will be taken away. And I say hopefully because until it's actually confirmed tomorrow.
Well, I've been a number watcher now for over a year, so I'm an expert number watcher. So every evening I'm up on the app and I'm looking at the numbers. So the numbers look pretty good today.
Yes.
And we're getting our positivity rate below 1, so that's good. So yeah, hopefully May 9th, we get back to being able to make some households, and then we can maybe we can come out of the hotel, but and then kind of ramp up training. But the things that still work to this day, minus all, forget all the sort of controversy and everything else. That putting on a mask and staying 6 feet away from people works for any sickness, right? It works for anything. No, so but we know that. So that's been hammered into the team and the coaching staff that that works. So we've been sort of hammering that in. Put your mask on, stay 6 feet away from people, no matter where you are.
Jay?
From an administration level, we're talking about lessons learned. Have we learned lessons from other FAs around, especially around the Caribbean or other teams that may obviously have very similar trials and tribulations? Have you learned from them also?
Oh, absolutely. So obviously we're watching the situation in our region with several different MAs, right? So some of it's lessons learned, and some of it is being very thankful. And I'll say this, that, we're thankful that we have the relationship that we have with the Bermuda government. We're able to sit and discuss protocols and get advice and whatnot, because that doesn't exist in other countries. We've certainly learned a bit from Canada, who were able to push the right buttons to get and the right relationships. I'll be honest, right? It's not all just policy and procedure. Some of this is relationship, and Canada were able to do it. So we learned a bit from them, and we're doing our bit to get our European players into the US. So that's a lesson there, definitely. And there's been some sharing as well. I mean, we have some good relationships with the Canadian FA. We have good relationship even with the US soccer. So there's been some sharing of information.
No. Following these two games, right on the heels of those two, we entered to the Nations Cup. Another scenario, because you have two back-to-back games. If you're successful in both those games, then you're kind of into the tournament, which starts immediately after.
Yes.
How is that being discussed with some of the what we consider the amateur players and their jobs? Because that's a long commitment that is required, especially even with this one coming up.
Yeah, so I mean that process is clearly defined of what we do with players and being able to get them away from the jobs. We communicate with each employer, and to be honest, since over the last few years, we've been able to establish relationships with employers. So it's not just an all blind letter that comes from the Bermuda FA. Now it's familiar face now. The latter goes to a player. So that's been helpful. And we obviously call on the Bermuda government to assist us with how they did assist us with the Gold Cup prior, where they did send an official letter from the Premier requesting that players be released and staff. Let's not forget them, very important, that they become released. So we're able to do that. We go through that process to do that. It is difficult at times, but maybe the pandemic gives us a little bit more breathing room as well.
Jay?
You mentioned about the partnership with CLGP and the BTA. How important it is to have these partnerships help us out, not just in this tournament coming up, but also going forward.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a demonstration of, for me, it's a demonstration of the community coming together, three different entities coming together, but it's also a demonstration of how different sports can support each other and help each other out, and which is something I think we need to do more of in Bermuda with our local sports bodies. How can we support each other? I think we're getting there. With the Association of National Sports Governing Bodies, I think there's a platform for it. I think we could do a bit more in terms of working together so that we're all successful. Because I mean, let's face it, we're all going to jump up and down when one sport does well. I mean, nobody's going to be angry and say, "I wish it was me." We're all going to jump up and down and support one sport. So, working together is great. And this is a good example of it.
Yeah. We're going to take another commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to have more from the president of the Bermuda Football Association, Mr. Mark Wade. We'll be right back.
Spring has sprung, and it's time for the Friends of Hospice Butterfly Blast annual raffle. The sun is shining, and it's starting to heat up out there. This $1,000 Bates gift card will ensure your beverages stay chilled, and you can barbecue in style. The draw date is May 22nd for a $1,000 gift card at Bates. Check out our Facebook page, Friends of Hospice Bermuda, for details. Prize donated by Bates. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Mr. Wade, you talked about the team training evenings and so forth. Once we come out of this mix of households, how often do you think the team will be training, and what's the time that they'll look to be training? Will they go two a day, or will they just continue to do one a day?
Well, you're testing my memory because they did present a 6-week training plan, which we missed 1 week of it, and I'm just trying to think back on what was in that 6-week training plan. But there was evenings, and then the weekends is where things would really ramp up. I don't recall seeing any early morning sessions in there, but there may be some, because obviously physical preparation is important. And there's a bunch of inter-squad matches as well. I'm just bear with me. I'm just trying to remember what was in the 6-week training plan, but some of that stuff was in there. Yeah.
Okay, Jay.
I mean, you mentioned earlier about the UK players. Some of the UK players who wasn't available for the last round, are we looking to have them available for this round?
I think, testing my memory again, but I think there's at least one who's going to be available because their season ends this weekend, next weekend.
This weekend.
So I think McKee and Justin will take a bit of a break, and then they'll be available. I'm not sure they're going to be available for the World Cup, but definitely for the Gold Cup matches.
When we say we have a good group of young people who are now abroad in school, playing semi-professional, playing professional, and all, bright future, but still time needed.
Yeah, definitely a bright future. Some of the players that we've seen, and then there are some who we haven't seen who I think are going to be fantastic for us. So we saw Remy Coddington, for example, but we were dying to get a Johnny Butcher in a pink top so we can see what he can do at the senior level. And there's others, Ideally, we would love to have an under 23 set up. I think we're about 2 years away from having that. So right now, players are going from under 20 straight into the senior men's team. So we know that gap exists, but I think some of them have already demonstrated that they're right on the level. I think they're all. Reece Jones is another one. He did well. So I think that the gap is closer than we think.
Yeah. How important is it for us now to really start with so many young people, both male and female? Important is it for us to start looking at joining the major festivals like the Pan Am Games, like the Olympics, CAC Games, because our counterparts in the region are doing that and getting more matches under their belt.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was speaking of when I said we needed on 23, something to fill the gap, and those are two of the competitions that we will look at: CAC Games, Pan Am Games, Olympic qualifiers. And like I said, we're about 2 years away from that, and that's down to finance. I call it like it is. It's down to finance. What we're doing right now is we're trying to do some infrastructure projects. Once those are completed, then we'll be able to shift some funds over to the under 23 setup.
Jay?
You're talking about finance. Let's get into it. Finance. I mean, obviously we're in this unprecedented time.
Yeah.
Obviously, do you still have these high goals or high ambitions, or you have to curve some things just so you know what you might have to put off for a year or two?
Yeah. It's a balance. It's a hard balance to strike, to be honest, right? We have teams as young as under 15 competing, and we're ready to add another 2 teams at under 23. Some of the stuff is long term, so the infrastructure projects are long term investments. And so is investing in under 15s. That's a long-term investment. And then we have to then look at short-term. But I think we have the balance right. It's not a if we're gonna do it, it's when, you know. So we'll get to under 23 competition. It's just a matter of when, and I'm gonna stick my neck out and say we're gonna get it done before in the next 2 years or so. We'll get into under 23 competition.
Well, you got a lot of pressure in your hands because it looks like we're getting to the other side, the referee side, because there's a lot of people pushing to get on that list. And the chairman there is doing a phenomenal job to ensure that every opportunity is available for them. But having those conversations with your counterparts, that kind of Bermuda is a leader in the region in getting young people involved in the game and officiating. Obviously, you know, there's got to be something, a notch under your belt to say, you know, Bermuda is kind of making its way through this Caribbean region.
Oh yeah, I mean, on the officiating part, definitely. You know, not a notch under my belt. Maybe because I kept the chairman in place, but other than that, you know, there's a notch under his belt. So, but yeah, I think that's coming along quite nicely. He has his target, which is a team of officials, and we're trying to give him as much support as we can to ensure that we meet that goal. I just opened a course today, a virtual course today. It was fantastic to see some new faces who are looking to get into officiating. So yeah, no, that the future looks very bright as far as officiating is concerned. And to be honest, we're our goal is to be at the World Cup. So somewhere in between the white lines. So that's whether it's girls, boys, officiating. We've already been there as administrators, right? We've already had Larry and David there as administrators, but you know, we want to get them in between the white lines. So you know, I don't mind having an official in between the white lines. That's okay too.
Jay?
I mean, to see where it's come from in the last 5 years. I mean, did you see this comment? I mean, because every time I hear you talk, it's like, man, you're still just surprised that it's growing and growing and growing and growing.
To be honest, I didn't see it growing as much as it has. We did have targets set year on year, but the response has been phenomenal, right? And I think a lot of it has to do with the chairman. Definitely has to do with his support team. But I also have to kind of just highlight some of the established internationals who were out there officiating as well, who you know took the call, you know, and went out to officiate, and that does a lot for a young player to see, you know, an official, to see a national team player officiating matches. You know, so Zico Lewis had the whistle up, Keyshawn Bean, Trey Ming. These are some of the players who were in the national team at the time officiating matches. So even that was a stroke of genius, right? Because that helped to remove the stigma from it all, you know.
So we have the team in training. We have a plan. We just need to actually action that plan, and hopefully by the end of the month, we're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I mean, that's the idea. You know, we still got to do all of our research as well. I'll tell you, we're up against countries who are naturalizing players. So it's going to be tough, right? You know, we had to look at Suriname while we were in Florida. It's not the Suriname of old, right? Yeah. And even Barbados. Just looking at Barbados's team, and so I follow them on Instagram, so I take note, right, of some of the things they mentioned, right, and even then, you know, they're also naturalizing presence, you know, out of the UK, so it's getting kind of tough, right? And before, you know, we only really thought of Jamaica, who was doing things of that nature, but now it's everybody, right? Montserrat turned from losing by double digits to, really, really almost upset in El Salvador. So, that's an element of that's going to make things tougher for us. Here's my plug for immigration reform. So I can do the same thing. But yeah, I think the team will be ready. But it's the competition. The goalposts always move in football. There's never a standstill. So we did well, but the goalposts will be moved on us. So we've got to make another step up.
All right. Well, I want to thank you very much for your time, sir. We're going to take another commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by the members of the Bermuda Davis Cup team. We'll be right back.
Thank you, guys.
For almost 150 years, John Barrett & Son have been the home of Bermuda's best beverages. And they are proud to offer us the sparkling portfolio of Sunkist sodas with their refreshing rainbow of fruit flavors. Sunkist has flavors that nostalgically remind us of the bottled soft drinks we used to call minerals. The colorful thirst quenchers that are perfect for a beautiful summer's day. This month we're featuring the original Sunkist Orange Soda and new Sunkist Zero. Orange soda with no sugar and no calories. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Welcome back, Jay. We're joined by Gavin Manders, James Finnegan. We do have Tariq Simons and Trey Mallory. I don't know where Tariq went. He was there a minute ago. But good evening, gentlemen. How are you all doing?
I'm good. And you?
How you guys doing?
Good.
Thank you. How you doing?
Well, James, the newest member to the team, how are you feeling now that you've been selected into the national team?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. And really good. Excited for what's ahead with these guys. I know all these guys pretty well, so looking forward to the challenge and the opportunity which is ahead. Yeah,
good stuff. Gavin, you've been through many Davis Cup experiences, but having these three youngsters now kind of pushing you, how does that make you feel now that you've got these young guys playing right beside you?
Yeah, man, it's exciting. I mean, for me, as we've had many combos, many interviews, my goals and, what I represent, in life, this is the most beautiful thing. I mean, yes, back in the day, like playing, getting all whatever record, but now having like my student, some of my younger, brothers that can come along in their primes and show the world what they have to offer because they're from what we've already done. Is a beautiful thing to see.
And Trey, for you, you've been playing a lot here lately. How do you feel going into it, especially after going to Costa Rica in 2019?
Yes. It's been nice the last couple of years playing it, and I'm just happy to play another one and hopefully gain promotion to the next group and just do as good as we can.
Okay. Jay?
Yes.
Gavin, as a veteran, obviously, I can see you definitely got to be proud of these young guys coming through. Not only pushing you, but also giving inspiration for the ones who are behind this group here. Obviously, being a veteran, what are you bringing to this team right now? Because you have a lot of young team members right now. What are we going to bring to the team for these guys?
Yeah, Gavin.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, it's showing them, how this is done, where that they're understanding the process.
I think we lost him. He's having internet problems, Jay.
Okay.
Oh, he's back.
Lost me?
Are you back, Gavin? Yeah.
Back?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
hear you.
Yeah, back.
Okay. No, I was just saying I'm here to do whatever is needed, and seeing these young guys and seeing what they could bring to the table is definitely something beautiful to watch, and they are an inspiration for the next generation. But as for this trip, this is my 14th Davis Cup, so every day, because Davis Cup, like this is the international stage. Like, there is no room for nothing. We're playing against countries that have 10 times the population, 10 times the resources. So, you know, what I can help bring is show them how close we've been as a family and how close we are as a team. Every little thing that we can do as a squad to be more ready is what I'm there to show them. You know, they're in their prime in tennis. I'm in my prime in leading young men to show them how to play on the international stage. So that would be the best way that I could put it.
James, you've had an abundance of matches this college year. What has that experience been like for you in a challenging COVID year? Because obviously season has to be delayed, then it gets started. You've got all these restrictions going on. What has it been like for you?
Yeah, it's been a crazy one, to be fair. Traveling to different places, 2 different states so far this season, but everything, you know, from the masks to COVID tests, weekly COVID tests, just to be able to go play at other venues. And then obviously you got the match days, so you got to stay in hotels overnight and things like this. I mean, something that I'll probably never do and have never done. So, I mean, just getting used to it, and especially going to the Davis Cup to a different country, it's going to be a whole lot of different rules and requirements. So, yeah, I mean, it's been crazy, and we still have another couple of weeks here for the college season. So just finishing it up and staying safe.
Well, welcome, Tariq. How have you been preparing yourself for this new challenge? I mean, you were in Costa Rica in 2019 as well, but it's been 2 years.
Yeah, I've been really dialing in these last couple of weeks, especially with Gavin and performance coach, my cousin Bakari Simons. But I've been putting in a lot of time on and off court through a schedule. Even through the lockdown, I didn't really stop. I was doing a lot of off-court stuff on my own, and then with family members of mine that I was just close to anyway. So I think that I've used my time to be pretty productive, and I'm still in the mix with it because the time isn't here yet. It's still a lot of hard work, and all up until the time comes, yeah, it's just work time. Anything that I can do to prepare for 2 months from now.
Okay.
Trey, I mean, you guys obviously had been able to play throughout this pandemic, unlike a few other sports. But what are some of the things off the court that's trying to keep you guys in shape or get you guys in better shape? What are some of the things you've been doing personally?
To be honest, I've been doing a lot of recovery work. I've been stretching a lot more. I've been using the foam roller a lot more to prevent me from getting injuries, and I feel on court that's been helping my game, you know, been making me move a bit better, so that's a plus.
What about you, Tariq?
Doing a lot of fitness work, so between runs, between cyclings, functional movement on and off court, a lot of lunging in the game, so I'm doing a lot of work on my legs and flexibility overall. But nothing can beat my speed and fitness, just because those are my strengths. I'm not a big guy, so I have to rely on other things that I have in order to beat better players, especially on an international level. So a lot of work in terms of speed and fitness, and working on my mental strength, taking new approaches and finding new ways to win the game.
And coach, well, not coach, I should say the veteran. How are you making out of trying to keep pushing yourself?
You there, Gavin? Yeah, he's having that internet problem. Okay. So you guys are going to be playing on clay court. James, you've been playing a lot on hard court. Pretty much Trey and Tariq, you guys have been playing on hard court. Any possibility of you guys here locally probably playing at the W.E.R. Hill Tennis Stadium on the clay to try and get used to ball speed and just different things, because a lot of sliding will come into it. And I know, Tariq, you just said that you do a lot of lunging and stuff. So having to learn that on a clay court is going to be a little different because the ball's going to bounce a little slower, but obviously the tempo is going to be there as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Clay is a lot. Well, it's significantly slower than hard courts, so it'll take quite a bit of adjusting. And I believe that is a part of the plan through our training locally. I think Trey and James would be doing a similar thing leading up into the tournament. It's just smarter that way. We can make less adjustments when we get into our battle space in Panama, and yeah, it's just a smart move, and I'm sure that all of us are going to be doing it. Yeah, boys.
Yeah. James, how are you playing on the slower clay courts? Have you had many challenges on that?
Well, I mean, on the college tour here, it's all hard court, so I haven't been on a clay court for since I was probably back in Bermuda and Christmas when I only hit a couple of times on the clay, mainly down on the hard at Southampton Princess. But no, it's been a while. I need to get adjusted to that for sure when I come back home and try and find some clay courts out here in the meantime.
Yeah. Jay, you want to go back to that question for Gavin? He's back.
So Gavin, so obviously with being the veteran, what are you doing to obviously you got to try to save your body somehow, but also push it to a limit and get you ready for this up and coming event?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm been doing a lot of things. I had a pretty rough one before the having to go into the shelter in place or whatever, the stay at home. I was actually kind of in the house for almost around 7 weeks with 3 kids. So it was a tricky one for me. I actually had caught COVID at one point as well through one of the schools. But in a nutshell, I mean, to be honest, I've been doing a lot of meditation, a lot of yoga, a lot of just more preventative things for myself and my mind. I don't really have to push my body past the limit like I normally do because these younger guys are going to take the heavier load. So for me personally, it's making sure that my mind is as sharp as possible and my mind is and my body is as flexible as possible while I work towards this. I'm going to be more relied on in the specific areas. So I'm more gearing my training towards what I'm going to be needed for. So the best answer is a lot of yoga and trying to get right now a heavier volume and a lower intensity just to get myself back in the groove of things. See how this just see how my body's reacting to being locked in the house for that long and what I went through. So I've been doing this for a long time. I just have to adjust my approach a little bit. But to be honest with you, it's a lot easier this way for me because I'm normally, as Trey and Tariq and Finney can in their training, like I'm normally training more than anyone. And I don't have to worry about that per se. I need to focus in on other areas and making sure that my body is ready to go where needed, but also my mind is ready to lead these guys.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have more with the Bermuda Davis Cup team. We'll be right back.
For almost 150 years, John Barrett & Son have been the home of Bermuda's best beverages. And they are proud to offer us the sparkling portfolio of Sunkist sodas with their refreshing rainbow of fruit flavors. Sunkist has flavors that nostalgically remind us of the bottled soft drinks we used to call minerals. The colorful thirst quenchers that are perfect for a beautiful summer's day. This month we're featuring the original Sunkist Orange Soda and new Sunkist Zero. Orange soda with no sugar and no calories. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Welcome back. Tariq, what advice would you have for James, being that you've been to a Davis Cup event? Just what can he possibly expect?
I mean, really the same as if anyone going into any new competition is to give it everything you have and a fresh try. Just leave it all out on the court, man. It's a tough environment being new to it, but you have us teammates that you can rely on to support you. We're going to be making noise from the side, so get used to it. But I mean, he's from a college atmosphere, so I know that he's used to people rooting for him and opposing teams rooting against him. But he'll have us in his corner, and we'll be in our corner. So I think he should be in a good mix once we get there.
What about you, Trey? What advice would you have for James?
Just enjoy it. Davis Cup is definitely like special tournament. It's probably my favorite tournament to ever play in. So just enjoy it, have fun, and just do your best and like keep fighting no matter what.
Okay. And Gavin?
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Just appreciate it. You know, you're putting the work. Know that you've done that. Once we're there, it's more about just giving everything we have with what we have. It's not about thinking about what we could have did, what we could do after. It's about honing in, coming together as a family, coming together as a squad, and making sure that we stick together in every battle, no matter how it's going, no matter whether we're down, no matter whether we're up, and just make sure that we remember that, you know, there's only like 0.01% of the world that get to experience this, and it truly is a blessing to be able to be there. It truly is a blessing to be able to represent Bermuda, and I already know what you bring to the table, so I'm looking forward to it.
Jake?
So to piggyback on that, I'm not even going to ask Gavin because he sort of said everything I want to ask him just now. But for the three youngsters, what does Davis Cup mean to each of you guys, and also representing Bermuda? What does it mean to each one of them?
We can start with James.
Yeah, I mean, for me, just being able to represent Bermuda is crazy, especially at the Davis Cup, as you guys were just mentioning. It'll be my first time. So going with the experience of Coach Ricky and Gavin and these guys who've already played there, it's going to be a great time. And then representing the island on a much bigger scale is going to be something that I'm definitely going to embrace and love every minute of it.
Trey?
Yes, it's always an honor to represent your country, but playing Davis Cup, it doesn't get much bigger than this. So just have to enjoy it and like just do our best no matter what.
Tariq?
Yeah, I love it. The entire experience, from the rides to the hotel, from the hotel to the courts, practicing in the match, when you're in the fire and the pressure zone. I love all of it, and I mean, really, it's what we train for. So it doesn't get any better. It's if you can't take that opportunity when it comes, then there really is no other. So, and it's what we love. So I don't really think that we love it. Yeah.
Well, I want to wish all four of you the best, representing this country, representing us. Panama's in for a rude awakening from you guys. Depending on no matter which group you get in, just do your best, do us proud. Leave it all on the court. I know, Gavin, when we were in Costa Rica, and I came to you guys' training session one of the days that you guys were training. That it was so hot, but you guys put in the work. Is that what it takes to be able to represent this country at that level?
Yeah, that and more. You know, at the end of the day, but that year, I think we came 7th or something like that. As you would see from being there, which was great to have you there, so you can see kind of what I bring to the table outside of just competing. People see me as the #1 player, but like, you know, it's holding these guys accountable in practice. Like this, every time we go out and practice, it is the same as going out and playing a match once you're there. I mean, it should be like that in general. But once we're there, there's no questions of, you know, what we should be doing out there. Is it hot? Yeah, it's hot. And what? You know what I mean? Like everyone's dealing with this. You know, so it's gonna take every single one of us the best us to do really well, because we are in Group 3. We've always been in Group 3, race that, so that's high. And you know what it takes is every single one of us being our best and connecting with each other within that to even have a shot. So you know we're looking at a challenge, and I'll be there to help, you know, use their skills and my knowledge and put that together to put the best foot forward.
All right. Well, again, guys, I wish you all the best. We'll stay in contact with you to see how you're making out in your lead up to training and actually getting to Panama and representing Bermuda. All right?
We appreciate you guys.
Okay. We're going to take our final commercial break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up this edition of the Eiderstad Sports Show. We'll be right back.
Spring has sprung, and it's time for the Friends of Hospice Butterfly Blast annual raffle. The butterflies are emerging bigger and better than before this year, and there's over $40,000 worth of prizes to make things more exciting. 3 Caterpillar raffles containing $1,000 gift certificates leading up to the main draw. There are multiple chances to win, so buy early and increase your odds of winning. So spring into action and get yours today. Check our Facebook page, Friends of Hospice Bermuda, for details, or call 232-0859. Lindos, why go anyplace else?
Well, Jay, all went by fast.
Like Manny
Covered a
Moore,
lot of ground
Manny Moore.
in a short space of time.
Like Manny Moore, quick.
She's a fingernail, a quarter of an inch fingernail away from qualifying for the Olympics. How's that?
Man, would that be a dream come true?
Would it ever? Would it ever? I mean, for anybody that would qualify for the first time, it's a bit, it's a bitter pill because you're going, you're excited, but it's something that you would want your family to experience with you. But due to the pandemic this time around, that will not be possible for many athletes from around the world who will be going for the first time.
I will probably agree with you to a point. As you know, once you get on the field, Earl, you block family out, really. Once you get on the courts, the pool, whatever, that's good probably when you're going through something hard or prior or after. But during the event, the last thing you're thinking is, one of mama's going to be happy out there. That's the last thing.
Believe it or not, a lot of athletes think like that. Like they'll finish their race, and the first thing they're doing, they're looking to see where are the people that I know.
Like I said, when you finish, before and after,
Yeah.
once you're competing, and just listen tonight. Just listen to 3 different sports, 3 different preparations for a big event. And what's the mindset? What are some of the things they look into doing? It's amazing. I was going to ask Maddie, probably in the next time we have an interview with her, because she talked about training after she had swam on Sunday, and I think she said she got in the pool today and she felt a little bit like jelly. So just using the water for recovery. Now we know water is one of the best ways to recover from any injury, period. But it's also, she's also got to compete in it. So like, what's that balance there? Trying to recover in the water, but also to ramp it up when you're looking to obviously get personal best. Be interesting to see something, just because we see our footballers take to the water for preparation.
Oh yes.
Our cricketers, you name it, most sports, they're always going to use some type of water preparation. I'm pretty sure the tennis guys are probably using the down on the beach anyway down there.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting just to hear these, because as a young person who may be listening or watching this, they could take some of these tips, because you always hear coaches got to do extras. Well, what are the extras? Sometimes people just think it's just running on the road, and some folks just don't like running on the road,
Right.
But when you're talking about, like I said, going for a swim or Gavin, yoga, well, that's extra.
Right. Yeah.
Meditation, that's extra. These are things that you're doing besides the actual training. So these little tips, when you see people like Gavin, who's, like I said, been to 14 Davis Cups doing this, I'm pretty sure Tariq, Trey, and James are looking for him for advice or different ways to prepare themselves, because you want to be at your optimal level at that competition.
Definitely. Well, we come to the end of a show.
Before we go, and I gotta say, we gotta say special thanks to CLGP and the BTA. I don't think my time in covering sports like this, that we've seen these collaborations for another sport. It may have happened prior, but recently we haven't seen other sports come to the aid or working together. And I think that needs to be, number one, commended for. And like Mr. Wade said, it continues.
Yeah, maybe it's the start. Hopefully, it's the start of something. Hopefully, it's the start of something new.
We see, well, it's a success already because they've recognized it, and where we can help, we will support. And that mindset, because it's always been against us against them, even in the sports world, as you know. And to see this, man, I'm gotta say, hats off to everybody who was involved in making that decision and continue to support.
Sure. Well, enjoy your evening, brother.
And wait to the numbers, man. The numbers.
Don't worry about it. You're released on May 9th. Take it later.